You lean toward the bathroom mirror. The light hits your face. For a second, everything feels private. Your eyes, your skin, the tiny details you check before stepping into the world. But that quiet moment is not as simple as it feels. The mirror in front of you is one of the strangest inventions in human history because it did not just show people their faces. It changed what a face meant. It turned the face into an object, something to study, something to improve, something to fear. And once humans learned to see themselves clearly, they could never fully stop looking. But here's the strange part. For most of human history, your ancestors did not have a clear image of their own face. They could see other people. They could see hands, scars, hair, clothing, and bodies. But their own face was mostly a mystery, appearing only in dark water, polished stone, or another person's reaction. So what happens when a human being suddenly gets a private meeting with their own reflection? To understand that, you have to go back long before class, long before bathrooms, long before anyone stood in front of a mirror and wondered whether they looked tired. One of the earliest known kinds of handmade mirrors comes from Neolithic Anatolia in what is now Turkey. Neolithic means the period when farming villages were forming, long before cities, writing, or metal tools became ordinary. At places like Çatalhöyük, archaeologists have found polished obsidian mirrors. Obsidian is volcanic glass, black, hard, and shiny when carefully worked. Imagine a small house made of mud brick, crowded with woven baskets, tools, food, smoke, and human bodies. The walls are plastered. The room is dim. A person lifts a dark round object and tilts it toward the light. The reflection is not like your modern mirror. It is darker, stranger, almost alive. A face appears from black stone, not perfectly, not brightly, but enough. And that may be the important part. The first mirrors were not ordinary household objects. They were rare, difficult to make, and sometimes found in burial contexts, placed near the dead. That does not prove exactly what every mirror meant. Archaeology can show placement and material, but it cannot read every human thought. Still, it tells you something important. A mirror was not just a tool. It was an encounter, and maybe that encounter felt powerful because it gave people something almost impossible. The ability to face themselves as if they were another person. Now, you might think the mirror began as a beauty object, but that is not quite true. Before it became a beauty object, it was also a ritual object, a status object, and sometimes a mystery object. A polished surface could catch the sun, flicker in darkness, and make the human face appear where no face should be. If you had never grown up surrounded by glass, screens, cameras, and selfies, that would not feel normal. It would feel supernatural. And this is where the story moves from stone into metal. In ancient Egypt, mirrors became more recognizable, but still nothing like the cheap mirror over your sink. Many Egyptian mirrors were made from polished copper or bronze. Bronze is a mixture of copper and tin, and when polished, it can reflect an image. The reflection was softer than modern glass, warmer and less exact. But it was enough to change daily life. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has Egyptian mirrors with handles shaped around symbols of Hathor or Bat, goddesses connected with beauty, music, femininity, and protection. One elite mirror used gold and silver, not just bronze, which tells you something immediately. This was not only about seeing, it was about power. Picture an Egyptian woman sitting in a room near Thebes. A servant holds a polished mirror. Another object holds kohl, the dark eye cosmetic used around the eyes. Kohl was not just decoration. It could signal beauty, status, ritual meaning, and in some contexts, practical protection from harsh light. The woman leans toward the mirror, not because she is vain in some modern shallow sense, but because the face is social. The face has to enter the world. The face has to be prepared. And here's why that matters. Once the mirror becomes part of grooming, the body becomes a project. Your ancestors did not simply have a face. They worked on the face. They marked it, cleaned it, painted it, shaved it, framed it with hair, and sent it into public life. That sounds modern, but it is ancient. The mirror gave people a new kind of control, and with control came pressure. If you can see your face, you can correct it. If you can correct it, you can worry about it. If you can worry about it, someone else can sell you the solution. The weird thing is, the mirror did not only reflect beauty. It helped create the idea that beauty should be constantly checked. Across the ancient Mediterranean, Greek and Roman mirrors also carried social meaning. Some were bronze, some were silver, many were decorated. They could be personal items, grave goods, gifts, and luxury objects. The Met has a Roman silver mirror from the 1st century CE with the owner's name inscribed on the back. Think about that, a mirror with a name. Not just a reflective surface, but a possession tied to identity. By this point, the mirror is no longer only a strange object that reveals a face. It is part of how a person presents themselves to society. It sits close to cosmetics, bathing, hair, wealth, and gender expectations. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Your modern bathroom shelf is not that different in spirit. The materials changed, the pressure did not disappear. But the real surprise is that clear glass mirrors came much later than most people imagine. For centuries, a mirror was usually metal, small, cloudy, or expensive. A polished bronze mirror could tarnish. A silver mirror could darken. A glass mirror required difficult glassmaking and a reflective backing. So a clear, flat, bright mirror was not a normal object in ordinary homes. It was a luxury, a palace object, a status symbol. And this is where the story turns darker. By the Renaissance, a period in Europe when art, trade, science, and old classical ideas were being reworked in new ways, mirrors became more important in painting, fashion, and elite interiors. Jan van Eyck's Arnolfini portrait from 1434 famously shows a convex mirror on the back wall, reflecting tiny figures in the room. A convex mirror curves outward, so it bends the room into a small, wide image. That tiny painted mirror does something powerful. It says the mirror can capture a whole world. It can pull the viewer into the scene. It can make seeing feel almost magical. But outside the painting, real mirrors were becoming part of a very serious industry. Venice, especially the island of Murano, became famous for glassmaking. Murano was a center where glassworkers developed and guarded specialized skills. Among the most important mirror techniques was a tin-mercury amalgam. An amalgam is a mixture involving mercury and another metal. Mercury is the silvery liquid metal that looks almost unreal, but it is also toxic. The process could produce beautiful reflective glass. It could also damage the people who made it. Imagine a workshop in Murano. The room is hot. Glass plates are handled carefully. Tin foil lies across a flat surface. Mercury is poured and spread. Workers move close to a substance that shines like liquid moonlight, breathing in danger they cannot fully see. The finished mirror may end up in a palace. The risk stays in the workshop. That is one of the dark patterns in the history of luxury. The object becomes elegant after the danger has been hidden. The polished surface travels upward into wealthy rooms, while the cost remains with the hands that made it. And for centuries, mirrors were tied to secrecy, wealth, and imitation. A great mirror could make a room look larger. It could multiply candlelight. It could make a royal body appear more magnificent. It could turn a wall into a performance. But here's the part most people never hear. When mirrors entered elite spaces, they did not simply decorate those spaces. They changed how people behaved inside them. A room with a mirror creates a second audience. You are not only being seen by others, you are seeing yourself being seen. That is a completely different kind of self-awareness. You adjust your posture. You check your clothing. You study the expression on your face before someone else can judge it. And over time, that habit becomes normal. Now, this does not mean mirrors alone created modern self-consciousness. Human identity is much older and much more complicated than one object. People cared about appearance long before glass. People judged one another long before bathrooms. But mirrors intensified the experience. They made the self visible, repeatable, and private. That private repetition is powerful. Every morning, you can rehearse your own face. Every night, you can inspect what the day did to it. And by the 19th century, the mirror began moving from luxury into mass life. A major turning point came through chemistry. In 1835, the German chemist Justus von Liebig reported work that led toward depositing metallic silver onto glass through chemical reaction. Later improvements made silvered glass mirrors more practical. Silvering means coating glass with a reflective metal layer, so the glass becomes a clear window to your own reflection. This sounds technical, but the social effect was enormous. A mirror could become cheaper. A mirror could become brighter. A mirror could become domestic. So by the time mirrors spread into bedrooms, shops, hotels, barbershops, department stores, and eventually bathrooms, the human face entered a new age. You no longer needed wealth to study yourself. You only needed a wall. And this is where the mirror's history becomes uncomfortably close to your life today. Because the modern mirror did not stay on the wall. It moved into photography, then film, then television, then the front-facing camera, then the filtered selfie. The bathroom mirror taught you to check your face. The camera taught you to capture it. The phone taught you to edit it, compare it, publish it, and measure it against other faces all day long. The mirror became portable. Then it became social. Then it became numerical. Likes, comments, views, reactions, swipes. Your reflection stopped being just something you saw. It became something other people could score. And that is the darkest modern twist. The first mirrors may have been rare objects that made the face feel mysterious. The modern mirror has done the opposite. It has made the face feel constantly available, constantly adjustable, constantly unfinished. A wrinkle is no longer just a wrinkle. It becomes a problem. A tired eye is no longer just evidence that your body needs rest. It becomes something to hide. A normal face becomes something that feels almost wrong because it does not look like the filtered version your brain has been trained to expect. And this is why mirrors changed your face. Not because they changed your bones, not because they invented vanity from nothing, but because they changed the relationship between your face and your mind. Before clear mirrors, your face mostly belonged to other people's eyes. After mirrors, your face became something you could monitor alone. After cameras, it became something you could freeze. After social media, it became something you could perform, compare, and endlessly correct. So when you stand in front of a mirror today, you are not just seeing skin and light. You are standing at the end of a very old chain. A chain that runs through black obsidian in Neolithic Anatolia, polished bronze in Egyptian tombs, silver mirrors in Roman hands, convex reflections in Renaissance paintings, mercury-filled workshops on Murano chemistry labs in 19th-century Europe, and a glowing glass rectangle in your pocket. And the strange thing is, every stage promised the same gift: more clarity, a sharper image, a better view of yourself. But clarity always came with a cost. The clearer the mirror became, the harder it became to forget yourself. So the next time you lean toward the bathroom mirror, notice what happens in that first quiet second. The light hits your face, your eyes search the glass, and the reflection looking back at you is not just your face. It is thousands of years of human desire, fear, status, labor, chemistry, beauty, and self-doubt, all polished smooth enough to feel ordinary.